Hello, everybody, and welcome to coverage of the 2021 Premodern Fall Brawl quarterfinals. I am doing some coverage over a recorded match between Koby Keller and Alberto Ballesteros. So I am here today with Lester. Say hi, Lester.
Hello, how's everybody going?
Yeah, I'm excited for this match. So what we have here is Kobe is playing the blue-white green control deck that he's kind of known for in the pre-modern world. He's played and tuned this deck in a number of tournaments and has done pretty well with it. So I think it's a deck he'll be familiar with and can pilot pretty well. And it seems pretty powerful. That it seems like it has a balance and has a lot of its bases covered. Is there anything that stands out in this deck list or things that you want to highlight?
Well, in this matchup, I think the blessings go both ways. You can blessing back their replenish targets, which is always good. So that's a huge advantage there. And he's got a pretty good sideboard for those too. So yeah, that's good.
Sure. So yeah, specifically to this matchup, there are some dead cards that like the sorts of Plowshares and the Wrath of Gods aren't very good, but there is a lot of counter magic and cards like Gaia's Blessing can have some neat interactions. So let's bring up the list for Alberto. He is playing the SqueePlenish deck. So what this deck is trying to do is discard a bunch of enchantments in the graveyard, and typically that involves Opalescence and then Parallax Wave. That's the white one. And with those two, you're able to use some timing tricks and exile all your opponent's creatures. And if there's a Parallax Tide in there, you're able to remove all their lands. So it's not, if there's enough enchantments in the graveyard, it's usually not that hard to win when there is a replenish cast. And then kind of the other half of the deck, there's a lot of card draw and discard. There's careful studies, attunements, and frantic studies, or frantic search. And then probably not going to be at the best in this matchup, but there is the Solitary Confinement and Squee Goblin Nabob lock. So there are certain matchups where just those two cards in play, the opponent won't be able to deal you any damage, and you're always going to have a card to bring back to discard, and you just end up decking them. But that's not going to apply in this matchup because Kobe does have some disenchants that he would just be able to find if he were given infinite time. So is there anything you want to talk about this deck real quick?
Not really. This is a pretty standard replenish deck. Just got the Squee in there, so pretty straightforward matchup. It looks like.
Okay. I'm going to bring up some slides, just briefly talk about the players that we have. So first we have Alberto Ballesteros. So he's in Madrid out of Spain, and he is a data and analytics business partner. He started playing in Scourge, and his hobbies include movies, soccer, and I'm not sure if this is how pronounced paddle or padel, similar to tennis but in a smaller court. Have you ever heard of that sport, Lester?
I've never heard of that.
Okay. I mean, like, I think of, if I say tennis but in a smaller court, I think of pickleball. So maybe that is the same thing but just with a different name. Are you familiar with pickleball?
No, I know there were some
Okay.
English pros a while ago that used to play on grass tennis. Was that a thing?
Uh,
Grass court?
well, I mean, like, the pros will play on different courts. There's clay, grass, and uh, I think that just whatever the standard court is. There's different tournaments are in different types, so I don't think that's what he's referring to. I think this is a slightly different game. I'm going to go out on a limb and say padel is the same thing as pickleball, but maybe I'm wrong. Anyways, going back to the Magic, that's things we're a little bit more well versed in. He is playing the Replenish deck. He wanted to play a combo deck, and he included Lotus Petals for a more solid mana base. I think that helps him with casting some of his colored spells. And he removed the City of Traders, which is a pretty powerful card in terms of speed, but also the colorless land, and it doesn't go well when you go long and need to make more land drops. So he took those out and added in the Lotus Petals. He says his best matchups are decks without counter magic, and his worst matchups are decks with counter magic. So it's unfortunate for Alberto that the deck he is playing against does have quite a bit of counter magic. So could be an uphill battle for him. And we asked him if he wanted to make any changes. He would take out the Solitary Confinement package, or at least the Solitary Confinements, and add in Chain of Vapor and Seal Cleansings. So let's look at Koby. So Koby's out of Denver in the United States. He is a logistics manager. He started playing in Mercadian Masks. His hobbies include fly fishing, golfing, and fantasy football. And so I talked about the blue, white, green control deck that Koby's well known to play. And he picked this deck because he took it. He's played it before. He's improved it, and he really likes Sylvan Library. In this list, he says that is the reason to play the Green Splash. It's not really for Gaea's Blessing at all. Sylvan Library is the card worth splashing. This his best matchups are combo in mid range, while he struggles against elves, goblins, and player tight blue white players is what he's described it as. And he said he would change the sideboard to help about non-red matchups. So
Fair enough.
So pretty cool. Let's get over to. Oh, I went to the wrong screen. Let's get to the right screen, and we can start this recording. So Koby is the higher seed, so he will be on the play. And I believe for this first game, neither player has mulligan, so they'll be kicking things off with a full 7. All right, how do you expect this game to go? So it's the sideboards don't come into play for this. I think they're playing a best of 3. I'm not exactly sure what they agreed upon. So
I think if Kobe's just gonna play draw go, he only really has to counterspell tides and replenishes, I think. So
okay.
I think he just sits back and gets comfortable in his chair. I wonder if the SqueePlenish player has thought about listening refrain. That used to be played in these decks back in the day.
Yeah, I have seen some of those in sideboards of a few decks, but I mean, there's also cards like, I guess it's not an enchantment, but like Orm's Chant is a card I've seen like in combo decks that are a way to fight counterspells. So
Advance actually lets you draw a card too.
Yeah, that's true. And we have seen that in versions that like Ron Taylor is playing in the Premodern Showdown series. He has a straight blue-white replenish deck, and he is playing Abeyance in the main and also in the sideboard.
Card used to be much more powerful.
Yeah, it would just used to prevent him from like tapping their mana or something.
Yeah, that was a time walk.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so here we're a spot where Alberto is casting a Frantic Search where he used a Lotus Petal. So like Frantic Search usually, I usually think of it if using it in combination with Ancient Tomb to actually accelerate you, but here he's using it while with a Lotus Petal, and he's not going to get the full mana to untap. So interesting how aggressive he is with this Frantic Search.
You have to do nothing with the mana too, so.
Well, he did hit another land, so maybe he did not have a third land and was really looking for that. So he tries to cast Attunement, which is a way to draw 3, discard 4. But Koby has a Mana Lake ready for that.
What do you think about counterspelling
that? Well, the Mana Leak is eventually going to be dead. Like if the game's going to go long, which I think it usually is for Koby, that you could expect it. But like here's a card I think I would rather Mana Leak than the Attunement. But I can understand the temptation to counter it. But
if you don't have a counterspell for this is really bad.
Yeah, I mean the mana is very important for the blue, white, green control deck.
Absorb. Oh, forbid.
So he's
with buyback.
Yeah, with the buyback. So Gaea's Blessing and Swords of Plowshares. The Gaea's Blessing has some utility, but he doesn't have green mana right now. But Swords of Plowshares is a pretty dead card. So happy to bring that forbid back to his hand. He can use it on a later turn.
Definitely want to buy back that forbid.
Yes.
Yeah. Miss a land drop though. That's important.
Mm-hmm. So Alberto, has got to navigate this game, knowing that there's more counter magic in the hand of Koby.
Yep. Now you're not even really upset about getting your opalescence and stuff like that countered because you only get them back with your replenish.
Sure. Yeah, this is just a way.
Oh,
I guess I talked about how like Swords to Plowshares wouldn't have any targets, but it's just possible that you could just go on a little bit of a beatdown plan.
yep.
And so Opalescence, each other enchantment. So it is not a creature itself. Okay. We see Koby.
Yep.
I think this is looking for lands. He's got to cycle a Decree of Justice and not put any mana into it. So
He does have 2 disenchants main, I think, right?
yes.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know if it's going to come into the play, but Alberto's mana base currently is dealing him a lot of damage. He's already dealt 7 damage to himself, so typically not a problem against a blue-white control deck, but there could be instances where a Decree of Justice or a creature comes down and kind of is able to sneak in some more damage.
Aggressively using that Lotus Petal there.
Well, here we have the Parallax Wave, and if these two are in play,
Then you get a 4/4.
you can't really ever exile these because if Koby ever, there might be a spot if there's a certain timing thing, but so Parallax Wave can exile itself and then it will just come back with 5 counters. So at any point, if Koby's trying to destroy the Parallax Wave, he can just exile it.
Yeah, you gotta kill the opalescence first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's obviously got forbid.
Yeah, I guess he's trying to think like. I guess Wrath of God still would take care of the Parallax Wave, right?
Yeah, but then your shields are down and you can just untap and replenish.
Okay.
So that's probably it. Because then if he gets to replenish, there's a lot more goodies in that yard.
But so is like a 4/4 a problem? I mean, I mean, this is a clock against Koby, right?
It's a 5-turn clock, yeah.
Yeah, it's a 4/4 that Koby can't kill, other than Wrath of God.
Yep.
I guess Disenchant also would kill it.
Wrath of God doesn't really kill it though, right? Because it can still come back.
Well, it would exile itself and then come back before the Wrath of God would resolve.
Oh,
So,
fair enough.
so you could use it and make it come back, but it's always going to come back before the Wrath of God resolves. So yeah, in for 4 comes the Parallax Wave.
But again, you really want to kill that opalescence probably. If he has a disenchant.
Sure.
So at this point, if you're replenished, do you want to do anything else, or do you want to just sit back and
I certainly
grind
would.
away?
I mean, like I wouldn't mind like playing cards like Attunement. I think that one is fine to cast. Like you're not super upset if that card gets countered, and if it is in play, it's another creature, and uh, I guess it would be 3 power, so then you'd have 7. It wouldn't quite change. I guess it would change the clock. It would be 3 turns instead of 4, but you might think that Koby has to take some damage from his lands at some point, given he has the pain lands. So we did see a blink of that at the end of turn, and that's just to reset the Parallax Wave counters, so the creature stays fresh.
Head on life now. Yeah, I think you just sit back like the replenish is doing.
So now Kobe's at 10. Didn't I thought I had him at 15. Did I? I might have missed something, but because I thought he should be at 11. But either way, can't do anything about it now.
Yeah, he's definitely taking at least 9.
Sure. And here is an attunement, so that will get mana leaked. But yeah,
Do I
this
have fiction? Nope.
you pretty much need a Wrath of God here, right? Here's an accumulated knowledge. This is just for one
Just
card,
a
I think.
cycle. That was just a cycle.
Oh, well, he's tapped his white mana, so unless he has another white source, I don't know if he's played a land this turn, but I think I guess Disenchant isn't out, and I
The
don't.
Dragoons isn't out.
It gains in some life, but it gets exiled. Like
Yeah, but you're still getting 5.
yeah, but and no creature is ever going to stay on the board because of the parallax wave, because of the timing issue that he could he can just exile any of Kobe's creatures indefinitely.
Yeah, but then he can't bring back the tide or the wave, right?
Yeah, he can. So he will exile the creature target for of Kobe's creature, and then in response to that activation, he will exile the parallax wave. So the parallax wave will leave play and come back as a new one, and then the one targeting Kobe's creature will resolve. And because it's a new parallax wave, it won't ever trigger a leaves play because it's a different parallax wave. So the creature for Kobe is just gone forever. Here we see a careful study. So Alberto's kind of sifting through his deck, though. I don't really know what he even needs at this point. I think he's pretty content with just chipping away with this parallax wave.
We'll say the tide is in another. Oh, okay,
Okay.
so that'd be game.
Well, there's the. Oh, so there's another mana
Okay.
leak there.
Yep. Here's the swords. Doesn't actually do anything.
Yeah, he just targets the parallax wave, but then in response, Alberto uses its own ability on itself, and it comes back with 5 new counters.
Yep. Okay.
But yeah, this should be an
So
attack for 4, and
even if you have 3 here, it doesn't do anything.
even if he has what to create, yeah, because the creature tokens can get exiled. I guess in theory you could make like enough. No, even you could make enough of them that it might have to like reset the parallax wave. But yeah, and here's the parallax tide, and if
So he's definitely got forbid. Oh, he doesn't use his forbid. Maybe he forgot about forbid.
no, he might say like he's might need to think that he needs. Well, I was to say this game's not going to go on that many more turns. I guess if yeah, I don't know what he was going to get out there, but maybe he was thinking he might be able to use forbid later with buyback. But it looks like Alberto is able to take down game one, which is kind of surprising. I mean, like we looked at a deck and all counterspells, and Kobe played a few counterspells, and but Alberto was just able to play enough threats and assemble an army that just attacked Kobe. So
I mean, he had Kobe cast 5 counters. He had forbid backup.
mhm.
He didn't get much else. Is this best out of 3 or best out of 5? Do we know?
I don't know what they agreed on. Given that they are looking through their decks, I think they're
This
sideboarding.
side.
So
Yep.
I'm gonna bring up the deck list so we can talk about sideboarding a little bit. So uh, Annul is an interesting card because it doesn't counter the card Replenish, but it does have a lot of targets in terms of attunement, the opalescence, the parallax wave. So if Alberto's going for a more fair plan, kind of what he did in that last game, Annul is an effective card. But if you're just talking about Replenish, it's not that good. I think because Kobe has his bases covered and like cards like Swords to Plowshares are pretty bad to begin with, I think cards like Annul will come in definitely. But what else looks good? I think Phyrexian Furnace is a card that it doesn't seem bad. Like, if you counter a spell, you can get it out, and you can always replace itself by using its ability. More, I mean, like, is how good is Disenchant? I guess that's
I think Disenchant's really good because you can just disenchant opalescence.
okay. Um, so humility, is that a card?
No.
Well, does that counters opalescence, right? Or like it nullifies it?
If he has 2 opalescence, right? But if he only has 1, then he can cast that and then
No, they still have no abilities, right?
Yeah, but if you only have one opalescence, it doesn't
Well,
make itself a creature.
okay, so it does, but it would all the, but it would make so like a parallax wave would become a 1/1 with counters that has no abilities. I mean, that would disrupt that combo.
That would disrupt that combo. You're right there.
So I think
I guess
humility.
it is definitely better than Wrath of God, right?
Yeah, in most situations, I don't know, definitely, but yeah, I think most situations it's better than Wrath of God.
So I actually think he probably takes out. This might be weird, but probably takes out Morphling, Dragoons, two Wrath of Gods for sure, and then the four Swords of Plowshares. So that's 8 cards.
Hmm.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe brings in that Humility to make it 8. I actually Mystic Enforcer might be a better card than Morphling here, just because it's quicker.
Sure, I can see that.
But you probably don't want to ever have your shields down either, and then you can just kill with Decree.
Yep.
If you side all those, though, Decree is really important.
I'm gonna go over to the sideboard for Alberto to see what he has to fight. Like, so defense grid is like, I guess, the big card here. So that might be more of a reason for um, Koby to bring in extra disenchants and whatnot, because if that card's in play, then his counter magic is really ineffective. But are there
Mm-hmm.
any other cards? Is Seal of Cleansing doesn't seem that
I don't think
impactful.
does anything. I don't think Stifle really does anything here.
Yeah,
I don't think Stifle does anything. You can Stifle Decree, but that's not really great.
you could stifle a Flooded Strand, try and Stone Rain them, but yeah,
Yeah,
I think I just bring in defense grids. I don't think I bring in like Powder Keg as an answer to decree tokens, but I guess I'd take out Solitary Confinement, get that out of here. Uh,
right.
the three defense
Kind
grids.
of shocked that no counter spells at all on the sideboard.
There's
Like
counter. There's Blue Elemental Blast,
you're correct.
but
I got that wrong.
so I mean, I,
I
I
guess he's
think
relying on defense grid here, but you can get down defense grid pretty quick with the Ancient Tomb,
sure.
so that's good.
So yeah, I think his plan against the counter magic is just the defense grid.
Yep. He get. I mean, in theory, if he can get the Squee and then the attunements for next searches, he can just multi-spell against the counter spell and possibly win that way too.
Okay.
Cast multiple spells and overwhelm them.
So the players have sideboarded. It looks like Alberto is going to send his hand back. He's not interested in the first 7 that he saw. How well do you think Alberto's deck mulligans?
I think Mulligan's pretty well.
Yeah, I
Uh,
get the addition of Squee. I think makes it that if the game goes long, you can kind of take advantage of the careful studies, frantic searches, and attunements. And
yeah,
plus, like a lot of the cards you want to discard anyways if you're planning on casting Replenish, so you don't really mind discarding some of the enchantments. So
yep. And you're really going for. I mean, you probably want to get some combination of discard in your hand. But you can also just fill out your draws with careful studies and stuff like that. So it probably mulligans extremely well. Now let's see if Koby plays an early Sylvan Library and then just Necro Huts it up, drawing extra cards.
yeah, I mean, like I can see that. Like I
Yeah,
guess
I
his
mean,
life total technically did get pressured last game, but not in like a super aggressive way. I think Sylvan Library could be pretty effective here.
yeah, these are the matchups where Sylvan Library just shines.
Yeah. So Alberto's looking at his. So he's putting 1 on the bottom, so he will be keeping this hand. And Kobe's going to start with an island.
Also, that kind of a discard or that kind of a mulligan has to favor the replenish deck too. Being able to put a card in the bottom and stuff, not like the old rules.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I think any of the combo decks are just much better with London Mulligan.
Yep.
Well, here we see a turn 1 defense grid, but
Oh,
the Annul is ready, so very important for Kobe to have that ready. I think this game.
and he did 2 damage to him. That's like the blue shock right there.
Yeah, it's like Undermine.
Yep. You're at 18, sir.
Yeah, so things look good. I guess I mean like I think Alberto was probably a little bit excited at the thought of that defense grid coming down real early, but Koby was ready with the annul.
I'm actually curious to how Alberto's deck does against like a really fast deck because his lands really do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I think the first game he dealt more damage than normal to himself because
Maybe.
anytime he was casting a colored spell, he was taking a damage from a pain land.
Yep.
But I mean the ancient tombs, and sometimes you are using it multiple times in one turn with like frantic search. So
Like I'm
yes,
using a chronic search right here.
yep. Yeah, it can be a painful mana base.
Yep. If he does, I mean, he might intuition too. Oh, he did nothing. Fair enough.
He's got 4 mana. He's gonna be
Casting a tide. Yep.
all right. Koby has counterspell there, so he'll take a damage to cast that. But I mean, Parallax Tide has got to be like one of the most threatening cards from Kobe's perspective, right?
Right.
That and I guess probably like Defense Grid, at least for like stage 1.
Yeah. Yeah. After sideboarding though, he's got a lot of must counters.
That is a City of Brass from Kobe. So, what kind of things can Alberto do to kind of push him along? Is it just test spell after test spell, like Parallax Waves or an Opalescence, kind of like before, until you finally stick something? Or what's his best route to try and deplete Kobe of
Well,
his counter spells?
so being able to do this, just test spelling, he can't use his card draw to get ahead.
Sure. So something like Factor Fiction, he's got to either choose to counter this or cast Factor
Yep.
Fiction, and he probably needs to counter it if it's there.
Yeah, he definitely needs to counter this. He can't factor fiction. Even like impulse might be dicey because he's got a couple of 3 mana counters. Um. So yeah, this is. It looks like he probably has a counter. It's funny because even if Colby could get a decree off for 1 or 2, that might put enough pressure on. Oh, it was resolved.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't think if he's planning on disenchanting, that's not good. That doesn't work the way you want it to.
Well, you can float the mana, right? And let the abilities
Yeah.
resolve.
Yep.
And then it's fine, right?
Well, then if you disenchant, then your lands just disappear forever, right?
No, no, no. You let the ability of you let the land get exiled. If you're to disenchant it into response of like him putting it on the stack, it would get exiled forever.
So you remove 1 land if he
He
floats
let
mana, you just hit people.
he floats the mana, he lets it resolve, and now he can. So
Yeah, but you just pack.
here is a
If you're
spot
just
like so yes. So yeah, like here if
say go,
now he would lose two
now you
lands,
lose 2 lands for sure.
right?
Yeah, forever.
Wait.
Oh, you didn't.
No, no, no. Wait, let me. Am I getting this wrong? So if disenchants on the stack, there's 3 counters left. Yeah, it doesn't matter because he would exile the. It's only if you respond to your own ability, or if Kobe casts it at like a really weird time. Because disenchants on the stack, he would exile the lands. Kobe would just let those abilities resolve. The other lands would get exiled. Then the disenchant would resolve, and the lands would come back. So yeah, it wouldn't matter. Okay, we see a factor fiction. I didn't see what was revealed.
We've also seen Counterspell from Kobe. He dropped one on the table.
Oh, he.
He accidentally put one on the table instead of Faction Fiction.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice that. I was too busy
Yeah.
thinking about Parallax Tide stacks. So, all right,
Faerie
Opalescence is a
Conclave
card
is
that on its own.
Faerie
I guess it's not scary from
actual.
Kobe, right?
Right, no.
All right. Well,
That's a legit clock right now.
man, and yeah, I guess Alberto took like 3 damage to cast that Opalescence, and yeah, this Faerie Conclave doesn't have a lot of work to do. There's a careful study.
So he's at the point right now where Counterspell and Careful Sight might have been worth it, just because he's going to take so much damage trying to cast anything right now.
I don't think so. I mean, like if he wants to try and tap his mana, he can't really cast a blue spell because he'll just get countered and die. And
Yeah,
if he's casting a white spell, then he's still going to 3. I don't know. I don't think I would. Oh, well, the Powder Keg is pretty good here. I guess like it's an answer to Faerie Conclave, but that one will get answered by a null.
he didn't get any lands off the Careful Sight. It doesn't look like.
Okay. What if this game finishes by Sylvan Library attacking?
That'd be phenomenal.
All right, Faerie Conclave comes in for 2, puts Alberto down to 3. So, given his mana base, he I don't even know if he certainly can't use that Ancient Tomb. Oh, I guess he disagrees.
You gonna replenish? Yeah.
All right, and there is a
Yeah.
counter spell from Koby.
Maybe he didn't see him drop the Counterspell when he did it.
Well, he had the Annul face up.
Yeah, but when he went to cast Faction Fiction, he faced up the Counterspell.
Okay.
So maybe the replenish deck didn't see it.
Well, I didn't see it, so I can't blame him. But all right, so Kobe's able to counter pretty much all the relevant things from Alberto that game, and I mean, it kind of felt like Alberto's mana base did a lot of the work for Kobe. Like that game
For sure.
could have been a little bit different if Alberto didn't take so much damage, and the Faerie Conclave would have to do a lot more work than what it actually had to do because it only attacked like 3 or 4 times. I felt like.
I think it attacked 2 times and then the last time, so it would have been done 3 total attacks.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised he has Powder Keg in there after Sideboard.
Well, it's a way to like if you talked about how Decree Justice is kind of critical that like even if Kobe just cycles Decree Justice for 2, it definitely changes like the outlook of the game that Alberto needs to react. He needs to do something because Kobe is fine just attacking for 2 every turn and building up resources. So Powder Keg is at least a way to answer something like that. So,
Now, if you're gonna fight on that axis, would you rather have Stifle or would you rather have Powder Keg?
I guess I mean the Powder Keg could get a Fairy Conclave, but I guess you probably just Kobe just wouldn't activate the Fairy Conclave if he didn't want it to get destroyed. I don't know. Maybe Stifle will be better then. What do you think?
I think they're even. I think Stifle might. I always hate stifling like a fetch land against a control deck because they usually have so many lands.
Sure.
But it could be key. Stuff like that could be key. So the control deck didn't mulligan again.
Okay. Well, I mean, he has a bunch of counter spells, and if you have a bunch of lands, then it like that's really all he needs, right, to make the game go
Right.
longer. And then eventually he's going to find the card filter spells, which he can just find what he actually needs at that point in the game. So
I think as long as you have 2 lands and at least 1 counterspell, you're probably keeping whatever you get.
sure.
And those lands can do damage too. It doesn't really matter that much.
I think right now Alberto is thinking whether he wants to keep or mulligan.
I
Is
think you
that
should go a card to put back.
oh okay? Oh no, he's just deciding what land he wants to play first. So he leads off with the Adarkar Waste, and
Okay.
then as does Koby.
White border versus black border. Important style differences here.
Though I will say I do like the art on the fifth edition one better.
Yeah, I agree. I think there were black border versions of that one.
Uh,
I'm not sure though.
I can't think of any, but
I think I've
because
got white border Japanese as that one.
all right. So Flooded Strand
Okay, turn 2 Powder Keg.
finds an island. Is this something you ever fight over?
I don't think so, right?
I think you would need to have a lot of counter magic or like be really set on attacking with the Korea Justice tokens for I think to want to
Yeah,
counter it. But
I don't think you ever fight over that. I mean, worst case scenario, you can just disenchant it, then decree.
all right, so here's attunement. Is this something you're interested in countering?
Honestly, think that this is great for you if he's using attunement because he's losing cards.
Okay,
It just depends on how many squeeze he's gotten.
sure.
I guess you can get him to squeeze too. I don't
Look,
think you fight it myself.
looks like Kobe's thinking about it.
He might not have any counter spells either too. I will just bluff him.
Okay, so he's gonna cast Accumulated Knowledge.
He told you.
All right, Faerie Conclave comes into play tapped.
Now, Opalescence he's gonna try to cast there. I think you fight over. Obviously, you fight over that.
Well, I mean, Opalescence isn't that scary, right? Unless there's like a Parallax Wave in play.
Opalescence makes every card like attunement scary.
Sure, just having a 3/3.
Yep.
I mean, it's also nice from Alberto's perspective that if he does have Opalescence, like a removal spell is not very effective against attunement either because you could just use its ability.
True. And look how non-damaging this mana base is now.
Yeah, this if this were the last game, then I think things could have been different. I'm not saying that Alberto would have won, but
Right.
he was at a lot less life at this stage of the game in the previous game. Hey Lester,
Yeah.
did you know that the solution can hide for only so long?
I did not know that.
Oh, all right, there you go.
Eventually, you'll find it.
Well, there is a parallax wave, and
It looks like resolved.
I guess there's probably just a disenchant. I mean, like that's got to be it, because otherwise, uh, I don't think you can. I guess one thing that we didn't talk about is bringing in the seal of cleansings from Alberto to then make like Parallax Tide much more powerful. Because if seal of cleansing was in play, then like Kobe would have to counter this Parallax Tide, because then you'd be able to stack the triggers to permanently exile those lands.
What? Oh, you decided 1 mana.
I'll take my life totals, but looks like Koby's
Did
floating
you
some
ever
mana.
get the reflecting pool before the island there?
Did I what?
Would you ever remove the reflecting pool before the island? If you remove the island and the reflecting pool is effectively dead.
Sure. You could just tap the reflecting pool in response. Alright, so there is a disenchant, so Koby will get his lands back. I guess the Faerie Conclave should come into play tapped, but I think the turn was passed by. Oh,
Well, that's really huge.
well, okay. Okay. He did have 3 mana floating, right? Because he tapped 3 lands.
I don't think so.
Yeah, he did. Well,
He would have had the island untapped
well,
regardless.
yeah. I think he tapped the 3 lands that got exiled: the Reflecting Pool, the Adarkar Wastes, and the Faerie Conclave. Then he cast Disenchant, so he still had 1 mana floating. Yeah. So yeah, I think he's okay. But so the Factor Fiction reveals Treva's Ruins, Accumulated Knowledge, City of Brass, Mana Leak, and Island. So it looks like the Treva's Ruins and Accumulated Knowledge are put into Koby's hand, because that Accumulated Knowledge is for 2 cards if you were to cast it. Alright, Treva's Ruins comes into play. It will pick up an Adarkar Wastes.
He's not floating any mana.
It did not appear so. So he's going to discard. He'll discard the Gaia's Blessing.
I wonder if he just had no other lands to play. That's kind of crazy. That's a bad sign if you're going to replenish and they're doing that. So he does have steals.
Okay. Alright, so accumulated knowledge into impulse. The gears are really turning for Koby. It's kind of
Really,
like he's kind of just.
did replenish play a land yet? I don't think they did because this is huge now. Unless he played the seal and said go.
I think so. I think that's
Yep,
probably
what
why
happened.
Koby would be casting his instant speed card draw.
Yep. So he's not using the attunement for any to try to find stuff.
Yeah. Is there? What is Alberto's plan to victory? I guess. What is he looking to do? He's
I
kind of
mean,
got. He's got to kind of play like multiple spells in one turn, right?
yeah, but if he can get a tie down and the tie can stick around for a turn, that's huge.
Well, if the tide resolves, then he'd just be able to sacrifice his seal cleansing, and then in response to that,
Yep.
he'd be able to exile Koby's lands.
There he goes. You heard me. Should be at least one Squee coming out, I would think. I would think by now he has, at least has one.
Well, it wasn't the first card discarded, so it doesn't look like it.
True.
Island Frantic Search.
Parallax Wave.
Got two more cards you needed to discard?
One more.
Alright, you called it. What's it going to be next?
I think you're gonna recast a attunement here. Oh no.
Did we miss one of
Oh,
them?
no, he discarded two waves,
Oh,
an
too late.
island, and a Furnace Search.
Okay.
So Opalescence, he now has a 2/2 in play.
Is that even that good?
No.
I feel like you need, if you have Opalescence, you need to keep a Parallax Wave, right?
But if your opponent's casting Opalescence, and then he's discarding two Parallax Waves, he's got to have a pretty good hand.
Sure. So we see the Disenchant targeting the Seal Cleansing. I was kind of hoping it would target the Opalescence, and then we just have a tapped Seal Cleansing in play. I guess we
Do you disenchant a seal there, not the Opalescence?
So the Seal Cleansing is good with Parallax Tide. That is, I think,
Right.
the reason to get rid of the seal. I'm trying to think about
Mhm.
Sylvan Library could be another reason why you want to get rid of it, but
Fair.
or if they have another Opalescence.
So two disenchants, which is great artwork, and then the blessing coming back.
So did you vote in that poll? Did you see it?
Yeah, I've always been partial to the arena disenchant.
Okay.
So I think the arena disenchant's the best, and then
I don't know. For some reason, I think I like Beta and Mercadian Masks. I don't know. This guy just makes me laugh.
who does?
The guy in the Mercadian Masks one.
Well, I guess I forget about that one, to be honest with you.
It's a good one.
The Mirage one's pretty good too.
Mm.
A lot of good ones.
I don't like the Mirage or the Tempest one.
Tempest is, I think Tempest is bad.
I like a lot of the Mirage arts, but this is not one of them. All right, we got Impulse for Koby. He's going to find one of the four that he likes.
One's the worst one.
All right, we got Guy's Blessing. Are you targeting him or? Oh, okay, I was saying, like, would there ever be any consideration to target Alberto here?
I think there is. I definitely think there's reasons to target him. But you've already got one blessing in the yard is the problem.
Sure. So the thought is you got to keep that loop for that super long game if it comes to it.
Yep. I mean, eventually he's got to find a furnace. I'm sure that's something he'd really like to find here.
Sure.
Sylvan would be great too. Right.
All right. So here, Parallax Tide. Mana Leak will answer that. How many cards does Kobe have in his hand? It's still a good amount of cards, right?
Bunch I've had.
Well, it's going to be more, thanks to an accumulated knowledge for 3.
Yep. He's got 5 cards right now.
It's 6, I think. I think he had 3. So Koby's looking. I guess if he has Decree of Justice, the Powder Keg is an answer to that. But then he could start chipping in with Faerie Conclave, or he could find a Disenchant and then get rid of the Powder Keg first, and then cycle something like Decree of Justice. So with the Opalescence in play, Attunement is being cast. Is this something that Koby needs to counter? Like, so is Koby trying to get to a point where he just like draws through his deck and then just like is able to Gaia's Blessing back, like juice it up like every other turn, or do you think
I think so.
you do or do not think so?
I do not think so.
Okay, you think he'll be able to kill Alberto a lot quicker than that?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that this is that grindy of a match.
All right, here we are cycling a Decree, so I'm assuming this is going to make 4 tokens at the end of turn. And I think I'll, like, would you take a hit from these 4? Would you just blow it up right away?
I would personally take a hit. Like in this game, your mana base isn't betraying you, so you have some time.
All right, so the 4 tokens come in. Oh, Alberto gets to block with Attunement. It's something that might have been forgotten by Koby. I certainly forgot about it in this instance, but we'll still get in for 3. But yeah, I guess losing one of those tokens is kind of a little bit awkward.
Yeah, this is a race that Attunement wins, right?
Well, here Koby is going to be disenchanting the Opalescence. I think the token was blocked, so I think he will take 3. Yes. And there's a Phyrexian Furnace, so this will slowly grind away at the cards in Alberto's graveyard until there's nothing left.
Also, it's just insurance against Replenish. If you can take out their best cards from the graveyard too.
Yeah. Though at this point, I mean, like the graveyard's pretty juicy. I don't know if there's like one card that you could take out.
I think he's got at least 2 Tides, possibly 2 Opalescents. But he's gonna do it now. Oh, that makes sense. He's getting rid of the furnace.
Well, but now aren't these 4, like 1/1s just gonna kill him?
I don't think that he's worried about that. I think he thinks he's got plenty of time against that.
I mean, if you're activating Faerie Conclave, it's not that many turns. The attunement is no longer a creature.
Right.
I mean, I guess Alberto does have a number of cards in his hand, so that he's hoping just to chain important spell after important spell. Here he's using the attunement.
So you got 4 mana, so in theory he's got 2 counters. There's a squee down. Careful study. Anything too.
Here's a
That's a
replenish.
bold replenish.
Obviously, this needs to be countered.
Yeah, that's a bold one.
Counterspell will answer that. Now we have an end of turn impulse, so I mean things look like pretty controlled. So if Koby can attack for 6,
Things are looking real good for Koby now.
6/4/4 is all he needs to do. So 3 turns.
Yep.
So he pretty much.
Interesting that replenish discard lands and then didn't play a land.
Because you're thinking the way he needs to win is kind of like double spelling.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get a little bit of a break here because he's gonna have to tap 2 mana for the conclave if he's gonna do it. But at this point, you're just being outlanded so bad. Did he return Squee?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's any way Replenish wins at this point because
Yeah, I
they're
think
down. You know.
Kobe's just seen so much of his deck that I think he's gonna have answers to anything that Alberto can present. But I've seen crazier things happen that you've drawn a bunch of cards and uh, you just don't hit the cards you need. So it's possible that Kobe is just sitting on a bunch of bad cards. But here's Factor Fiction that'll dig him deeper if he is sitting on a hand of bad cards, and that shows Counterspell, Island, Annul, Grand Coliseum, and a Sylvan Library.
So Counterspell or no is my pick here.
Split those two, and
Just Counterspell or no.
okay.
There you go.
Well, if you're looking to
Now for
counter
the
the
test, we're gonna see how many counters Kobe has based on what he picks here.
yeah, I mean, if you're just
If he
looking to
picks
counter the attunement, then the annul is better than the counterspell, obviously.
yeah, but if he picks that Annul pile with Sylvan Library, you're pretty much just dead. Okay, so he must be low on counters.
Or if he's just only worried about replenish.
That's true. He already,
Because, I mean, this is a 2-turn clock, right?
yeah.
Well, Alberto needs to find something, and it needs to be quickly. I guess he can use the attunement and pitch the squee. But I
I
guess if
do
he's,
right now.
I guess if he's not getting another turn after this, then like, it doesn't even matter if he does it end of turn or during his turn.
Oh, you got Friendly Search?
Okay. I guess one reason to do that end of turn would be if it does get countered. I guess squee is one reason, but if it does get countered, then you're able to use the mana on the next turn. All right, squee comes back to the hand.
So if he got Ancient Tomb, he can actually replenish twice, right?
Yes, he has 6 mana right now. Ancient Tomb would be +2, so he would have 8. So he would go to 1.
He could Lotus Petal, cast
Okay.
Defense Grid, and then Ancient Tomb, replenish.
Okay. He's discarding a bunch of squeeze. 2 squeeze, an attunement. And he'll think about the last one. And there's an Ancient Tomb, okay.
They needs to have another one here.
There's a defense grid.
Doing things.
Well, Kobe actually has. Okay, he has an annul. I was to say he has. If he's just worried about one card, he has enough mana to pay for a defense grid. And there's
Yeah,
a
he's
replenish, and we do see the counter spell. So
yeah,
Alberto
okay.
did have like a turn where he was pretty close to getting things assembled, but Kobe did have enough time. He hit his land drops. He filtered through his deck and did find the counter magic. So
Yep.
Kobe's able to take down the match 2 games to 1. Kobe will advance to the semifinals. I'm not exactly sure who he's going to be up against, but we'll look. See, it looks like we can get some insight of how they sideboarded.
So he brought in those three. Oh, he didn't bring in all of his defense cards? Was he only brought... Oh, wait.
He had 3. Were there?
Did he bring in 1 grid, 1 Powder Keg, 1 seal?
No,
Yeah, they brought that.
I think he's still pulling cards out of his deck. So I have a question.
Yeah.
You play your last round of a tournament and you lose. Do you sideboard?
Yes.
Okay. What
Yes.
if you know you're like taking that deck apart?
I never take decks apart.
Okay.
What better question? The last round of the tournament, you win the tournament. Do you sideboard?
This caused some controversy, didn't it?
Yeah.
I think I probably would do it yes to both, but I think yes, I think I would. I think it would just be like a way to kind of settle everything in and just kind of soak it all in. It's kind of a zen thing of just do your routine. This is just
Yep.
business as usual. I took through the tournament and I'll just pack my things up, reset everything to how it should be, and then go home.
It somewhat depends on if your opponent stays at the table and talks to you for a little bit, then that gives you some time to talk about the match and sideboard.
Yeah.
Your opponent just like leaves and then you're celebrating, and maybe you just don't. You don't.
That's fair.
I'm sure if you want a pro tour or something like that, then that deck's going in a drawer someplace, anyways.
All right, so that is all we have of this match. So I guess it's not super surprising. We thought that, like, obviously Alberto had highlighted that decks with counter magic are difficult matchups for him.
Right.
Though it seems like I mean, there's a reasonable chance I think that the combo deck can take it down. There's sequences of draws where you're able to sneak in a card like Defense Grid, or you're able to set up a Parallax Tide without them having Disenchant, and you're able to like remove all their lands. And so I don't think it's unwinnable from the perspective of the combo deck, but definitely a challenging matchup for Alberto. But
The way those games went, it was really bad for the combo deck because the games where he had fast mana, he didn't seem to have anything going, and the games where he didn't have fast mana, he didn't seem to have anything going. So
yeah, I was thinking that what would happen is he might have had like a Squee earlier on, and then cards like Careful Study or Attunement would be used just to kind of filter through his deck. But it seemed like he didn't have the squeeze in the very early in the match, and he wasn't able to kind of turn that ability of Squee into card advantage.
we did see he did side out a Squee.
Okay,
But yeah, I mean, drawing Squee without that stuff's probably not very good anyways. So
that's true.
kind of a weird matchup.
There are 12 copies of that effect. There's Careful Study, Attunement, and Frantic Search. So
Right, the attunement's reusable.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm also not surprised at the results.
Right.
So yeah, that's pretty much exactly how we thought it would go.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Lester, for joining me in the booth and providing some insightful commentary for all pre-modern fans to listen to. It is appreciated.
Anytime.
All right. With that, I would like to thank everyone who's tuning in. If you are interested, we will be streaming more matches of the Fall Brawl Top 8. We have all the quarterfinals have been played at this point, and we are looking forward to the semifinals and eventually the finals. So we hope you can catch those. I will be trying to stream as many of those matches as I can. So.
Oh, right. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you guys have a good one.
Yep. Till next time, take care.
All right, bye.